As the woman washed her face in the bathroom, she suddenly saw something terrifying: blood-stained metal dentures lying on the floor. Fear gripped her as she suspected they belonged to some horrifying creature. Before she could process what she had seen, strange noises came from the shower area. When she checked, she saw fresh blood on the floor. Realizing something was very wrong, she ran out of the camp to warn her teammates, but it was too late for those already on the plane. The aircraft spiraled out of control and crashed, taking 3 crew members and the creature with it. Xiaomei, who saw everything, suspected the creature had already infected someone. She returned to the bathroom, but the blood had disappeared. This meant one thing: the monster was still among them, perfectly mimicking human behavior. She tried to warn the others, but they didn't believe her. Determined, she ran to hide their vehicle keys, but she didn't realize that her best friend had already mutated. Xiaomei managed to escape, but the man with glasses wasn't so lucky. His horrifying screams echoed as Huzo brother grabbed a flamethrower. When they opened the door, they saw a burnt creature. Their nightmare had just begun. The creature could regenerate and infect others. Their team had discovered an alien spaceship buried in Antarctic ice. Inside was a frozen creature that they brought back to camp. When they drilled into the ice, it melted, and the creature escaped. Xiaomei later found out that the creature's cells could copy human DNA like a virus. No one could be trusted. Then came the biggest shock. The 2 crew members who had died in the crash returned, alive. Huzo brother whispered, "They're not who they used to be." As soon as the 2 plane crash survivors returned, everyone suspected they had been infected by the monster. Huzo brother wanted to burn them with a flamethrower, but Xiaomei stopped him. Without proof, they couldn't just kill them. Instead, she decided to lock them up and wait for blood test results. Before they could do the test, the lab suddenly caught fire. Within minutes, everything was destroyed. It was clear someone had done this on purpose. The team suspected Huang Mao since he was handling the tests, but arguing only made things worse. Xiaomei then thought of a new plan. Since the monster couldn't copy inorganic materials, she checked everyone's teeth for metal fillings. If someone's fillings were missing, it meant they were likely infected. The test wasn't perfect, but at least it helped separate the safe members from the suspicious ones. In the end, 4 people, including the professor, were suspected. Xiaomei's group remained safe. To confirm, she sent 2 teammates to bring the crash survivors for testing, but when they arrived, the 2 were missing. Suddenly, Huan Mao ran back in terror, saying the monster had eaten them. Panic spread again, and the infected people became aggressive. Then, the sound of glass breaking made everyone jump. They thought the monster had entered, but it was actually the 2 missing survivors. However, no one trusted them anymore, and the biologist made the situation worse. During the argument, gasoline spilled and exploded. The biologist was knocked unconscious, and Da Zhuang and Lao He took control. They moved everyone to another room to talk, but as they helped the biologist inside, something terrifying happened. The biologist turned into a monster. In the chaos, the flamethrower stopped working. Huang Mao tried to escape but was stabbed by the monster's tentacle. Lao He shot at it, but the bullets did nothing, and he was killed instead. The creature then merged with Huang Mao. Xiaomei quickly fixed the flamethrower, but by then, the monster had disappeared. Seeing no other choice, she burned her infected teammates. Determined to end the threat, Xiaomei and Da Zhuang kept searching. They entered a room and found a severed limb. Da Zhuang chopped it in half with an axe, but it was still alive. They had to burn it completely. Suddenly, they heard the professor scream. When they ran to check, the monster was gone. In the darkness, fear took over, and they got separated. Da Zhuang panicked and ran into another room, grabbing a small knife to protect himself. But before he could react, the creature appeared, now much bigger, blocking his way. Luckily, Xiaomei arrived just in time to save him. They thought it was finally over after burning the monster. But then, they saw the professor escaping in a car. It was obvious. He was infected. To stop him from spreading the infection, Xiaomei and Da Zhuang quickly repaired a car and chased after him. When they reached him, they realized his true plan. He was trying to leave on the alien spaceship, but when they arrived, it was already too late. The spaceship had already begun taking off, and the swirling red leaves made Xiaomei feel dizzy. When he regained consciousness, he found himself inside the alien ship. But what he didn't realize was that the professor had already transformed into a massive monster and was creeping toward him. Xiaomei tried to fight back, but the creature swiped the bomb from his hand and lunged at him with its gaping, blood-stained mouth. He had no choice but to scramble into a narrow passage, but to his horror, it was a dead end. After a brief struggle, the monster's tentacles hesitated and slowly pulled back. Xiaomei refused to wait for death. Spotting a grenade nearby, he inched toward it, determined to finish off the creature. But just as he reached for it, the monster burst through the wall. The next moment, a massive explosion engulfed the alien spaceship, destroying both it and the monster. Xiaomei and Da Zhuang were the only survivors. With no other options, they decided to travel 50 kilometers to a Russian research station for help. But just as Xiaomei was about to get into the car, he noticed something was off about Da Zhuang. Keeping his cool, he pretended to place the flamethrower in the back seat while carefully choosing his words. No matter how much Da Zhuang tried to explain himself, Xiaomei had already made up his mind. He had to eliminate the threat. When it was all over, Xiaomei sat alone in the car, lost in thought. Whether he was infected or not no longer mattered. At that moment, he had already accepted his fate. Time passed. Eventually, a rescue plane arrived at the base. The rescuers, seeing the devastation, assumed there were no survivors. But then, Huzo brother, who had been knocked out earlier, staggered out, gun in hand. To ensure safety, he ordered the rescuers to open their mouths for inspection. But before they could react, a dog suddenly bolted out from the base. Instantly, Huzo brother knew something was wrong. And that's the end of today's story. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.